Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, we would like to thank Professor Dr. Haryanto for giving us the opportunity to present our material this time. The material that we will present is characteristic of effective EFL instructors. But before entering the material, introduce us from Group 6. I am Aqilah Rhihadatulaisy and my friends are Nur Herawati, Nurul Ihsaniah, and Adnan Prasetyo. Next, I will explain about introduction for this material. Introduction. With the spread of globalization, language learning is gaining more and more prominence daily. As the movement from traditional methods of education to modern methods takes place, developing countries like Iran find themselves trapped between these two extremes. The Iranian government, on the one hand, advocates conservative policies in all fields of its administration, including the Ministry of Education. On the other hand, with the arrival of mass media, the satellite, and internet, the Iranian public is also exposed to new and modern methods of thinking and learning. This discrepancy can be clearly noticed in the English lesson curriculum designed by the Ministry of Education and the English courses offered by private language schools outside school time. Nowadays, with the dissatisfaction of the language learners with the grammar translation style classes offered at their schools, most are reverting to private institutions for quality language learning. With such a vast number of students reverting to private language schools, there has been a sudden increase in the number of language schools in all major cities of the country during the past decade. At present, there are over 5,000 private language institutes within the whole country, and this number is increasing rapidly. Private language schools in Iran are known for offering good quality education with the latest methods and the best teachers. However, what comprises a good language teacher itself is a controversial issue. The purpose of this paper is to investigate what language learners conceive as a successful and effective language teachers.
Okay, literature review. So, literature review changes in language teaching methods over the past century have been greatly influenced by the emerging needs of learners. When majority language entered the educational system of European countries, they were taught using the same methods used to teach Latin, namely memorizing vocabulary lessons. Strict grammar rules and sentence to translate. By the end of the 18th century, this method became popular in all higher educational institutions as standard method of learning foreign language, and later became known as the grammar translation method. First, number one, the main goals of learning foreign language is to study its literature. Number two, reading, writing, and grammar are clearly important. Number three, currency important because the students' native language is used in the classroom, and then teacher culture learning. After several decades, with the outbreak of World Wars in Europe at the beginning at the 20th century, the need to learn a new language operates. The approaches taken by the military later evolved into the new approaches called the educational linguistic method. Some of the main principles of this method. Number one, learning a foreign language is a medical process and can be achieved Doubt content replacement of structure and conversations. Number two, the spoken form of language is more important than written form. Number three, the student's native language is prohibited the class. Number four, zero tolerance for errors. And then teachers control learning with the development of means of translation and the increasing trend of summer vocabulary vocation, weather vocation, and business tribes, improving each person's communication skill is becoming increasingly necessary. necessary. The needs of language learn lead linguistic scholars to think about new approaches that can meet the needs and then their styles of language learning. In the strong form, we use English to learn, while in the weaker form, we learn English in order to use it. The goal of teaching communicative language is Delham's 1822 explained its deployment specific types of skill, challenge communicative competence, having communication skill given use the language, and skill to know whether something, a particular form of language, is formally possible, whether something is possible or not, whether is upright or not, whether is actually done or not. The role of student and teacher is in this process. As mentioned above, a communication method emphasizes and plays on the communication process itself rather than majoring the necessary in linguistic element. The learning as a negotiator between himself, the learning process, and the learning object apart and interest as a collective negotiator in the group, while as in the classroom process and activities communicate by implementation group.
I'm Nurul Ihsaniah. I will explain about the method of this research. So there is two research questions. The first is what are the characteristics of an effective teacher according to student, and the second question is what item has the most priority in each category of the question according to student. So there's also the participant of this research. So there is 42 student and 3 male with 9 female that currently studying English in level ranging from pre-intermediate to advanced and at prominent language school in Tabriz, Iran. So there's also instrument for this research. The instrument used was a 58 item question which has developed through meticulous reading of literature and the language school criteria for teacher observation and research on experience of successful teaching. And also in this question was divided into 8 sections, and in every section there's a heading for them, yeah, like the first section is personal qualities, and the second common in English, teaching methodology, evaluation method, amount of teacher emphasis on different skill, mastery over teaching, and also teaching student relationship, and the last is class management,
or institute program. And also for this research, also there is procedure that language learner were asked to rate each item according to its important or not, and also the option available for selection were as follow, like not important at all, somehow important, important, and very important. Student will ask to compare each item important in comparison to the other items under the same category by numbering each item. So the last is a writing section was also provided if student needed to give elaboration on any of item if they need. And the question, if the question were complete, the percentage will calculate it. So for the next material is the result of this research that will explain with the next presenter. Thank you.
My name is Muhammad Adnan Prasetyo, and I'm going to continue the explanation. I'm going to explain about the result. The first section of the questionnaire was regarding the personal qualities of an effective teacher. As can be seen from the table above, the gender, age, appearance, and loudness of the teacher is of very little importance to the majority of the students. However, 73.80% of the students thought that an effective teacher should be interested in his her job and should show a sense of responsibility towards it. Also, there was a consensus among students that the teacher should be lively and active and should be punctual in his or her presence in the class and in returning the students' papers. What is more interesting is that a vast number of the students numbered the item, having interest in his or her job and feeling responsible for teaching as their first priority in terms of the importance of the item in comparison to the other 9 items in the personal qualities category. In Table 2, the teacher's command of the foreign language is taken into consideration. What is evident from this table is that the majority of the students thought that all the items in this category are of importance. In fact, none of the students marked the non-important option. In contrast, 83.33% of the students marked accuracy of teacher vocabulary as very important. 52.38% of the students who marked this item also marked it as their first priority in comparison to the other items under this category. It is also evident that the teacher's intonation plays a lesser role in the student's perception of an effective teacher. Regarding the methodology applied in the classroom, the students showed a preference towards teacher who encouraged students to use the L2 in the classroom at all times. More than half of the students, or 66.66%, marked this item as very important. The second item with the highest percentage belongs to explicit correction of the student's error by the teachers. 42.85% of the students have marked this as very important. In addition, using the student's native language in the classroom was not considered as a merit by the majority of the students. 19.04% of the students marked this item as not important at all, and 47.61% mark it as somehow important, which shows the modest attention paid to this criterion and that students prefer not to use L1 in the classroom. Finally, students favor teachers who provide detailed explanation before and during the reading and listening task. 52.38% of the students mark this item as an important feature of a successful teacher. Regarding the priority of the items, the first item, that is, using appropriate teaching techniques, was marked by 18 of the participants, 42.85%, as their first priority in comparison to the other 12 items in this category. Table 4 is regarding the evaluation methods applied to the classroom. The majority of the students marked both written and oral forms of evaluation as they're important or very important, which accentuates the importance of continuous evaluation in the student's perception. In comparing written and oral forms of evaluation, students showed a preference towards oral quizzes, with 80.95% of participants marking oral form of evaluation as their first priority. The following table shows the students' perception towards different skills in a language class. The majority of the students have marked all language skills as important or very important. 73.89% of the students stated that emphasizing speaking is very important. This percentage shows that the majority of the students prefer teachers to work on their oral skills in comparison to other skills. This is reflected in the priority of students give to teachers who focus on speaking too. More than half of the participants, 52.38%, marked this item as their first priority. Moreover, only 2.38% of the students marked the not important at all option for emphasizing grammar, which shows the modest importance students attribute to grammar. Table 6 concerns the mastery Table 6 concerns the mastery the teacher has over teaching. According to this table, the majority of students, 52.38%, believe that there is no need for the teacher to have any knowledge of the student's specialist courses. This statistic might have been different in the participants of this research were enrolled in English for Specific Purposes, or ESP, course rather than a general English course. In addition, 59.52% of students believe that it is very important that an effective and successful teacher has comprehensive knowledge of the student's matter and that he or she is able to answer the student's question. In the free writing section, one of the students mentioned that knowledge of the subject matter is not adequate for a teacher to be considered successful, and she or he must also be able to communicate that knowledge successfully to his or her students. This opinion is also reflected in the importance allocated to the teacher's ability in transferring ideas and knowledge to the students. 23% marked this item as very important, and 40.47% marked this as important. Regarding teacher-student relation, it is evident from the table below that knowledge of the student's mother tongue lacks importance for a large number of the students, as 33.33% have marked this item as not important at all, and 33.33% have marked it as somehow important. Students also believe that there is no need for teachers to give feedback to the students' parents. 59.52% mark it as not important at all, and another 33.33% believe it was only somehow important. Other observable figures are regarding the importance students allocate to teachers who create motivation, have respect for students, are kind and friendly with students, encourage participation, ask students for feedback about the lesson, and help students to increase their confidence. The majority of students have marked the items listed above as important or very important. The last table is titled Class Management or Institutes Programs. According to this table, using the class time wisely, in other words, not wasting the class time, is largely important to the majority of the students. 73.80% have marked this as very important, and another 23.80% have marked it as important. Another substantial figure is regarding the importance students place on maintaining other in the class. Over 80 of the students have marked this item as they're important or very important. Okay, that is all from me. I'll give it to the next speaker.
Conclusion. This investigation established what the students felt were the attributes of effective EFL lecturers. According to this research, some of the most important features of an effective and successful EFL teacher are: first, having interest in his or her job. Second, having a sense of responsibility towards his or her job. Third, being enthusiastic and lively. Fourth, being self-confident. 5. Being punctual. Encouraging students to use target language at all times. Providing explicit grammar correction. Providing detailed explanation during reading and listening tasks. Emphasizing frequent oral quizzes. Emphasizing all skills, especially speaking. Having knowledge of subject matter. Having the ability to communicate ideas effectively. Having the ability to answer the student questions. Having respect for students. Being kind and friendly. Encouraging participation. Creating motivation in students. Helping to increase the students' self-confidence during learning. Taking students' feedback about the class into consideration. Using the class time wisely. And the last, maintaining class order. Taking the Iranian EFL context into consideration, one tends to realize that the student perceptions regarding the teaching and learning process have often been neglected. Teachers and institutional managers have specified certain criteria for teaching without considering the main participant of the classroom, that is the students. The findings of the current paper have specific implications for existing and prospective EFL lecturers and teachers. Teachers have to take the student needs and perspective into consideration when teaching. The old method of teacher-centered classroom must give way to new student-centered approaches in the Iranian EFL context for successful and effective learning to take place. Teachers must realign their teaching according to the student ideas rather than do what they themselves feel is appropriate. The Iranian EFL context demands further research in this regard. Researchers can investigate the implication gender, age, ethnicity, social class have on the student perception regarding the teaching process within classrooms. Also, such results ought to be carried out on a broader scale to yield more precise results. I think that's all for our material. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.